Okay, we've got our terrain as we want it. The next thing we're going to want to do is start marking out our course. And to do this, we need to learn how to create and modify shapes. So to find the shapes, we go to Plan, and along the icons here, there's a Create Shape. If I click on that, we're going to want it assigned to terrain. So if it's not on terrain, set it to terrain, and we can select the type of terrain from the list. It's not really necessary the way we're going to be doing it to be on the correct terrain necessarily, but it gives us a colour, so each terrain selected is in a different colour. So this is on freehand create at the moment, which means I can just draw by holding the left mouse button on the screen. I can just draw around and create a shape. Let go and the two ends will join up, so get it as near to the start as you can before you let go of it, otherwise you'll get a big straight line between the two. So drawing shapes is as simple as that. If I select water, it's in blue, concrete's white, well, off-white. So that's one way of drawing shapes. If I click on modify, adjust shape, sorry, and then click on a shape, I need to click on the line. You'll see the shape is actually made up of lots of points that we can actually adjust. There are two types of points. There's the bright white points, which like this, which we can actually click on and hold and move. And then there are these not quite white points either side, which create these seesaw pivot points, and we can move these in and out and tilt them up and down to create just the sort of curves we want. If they're right in the center, you'll get a straight line. Further out, you'll get a curved line. So we can basically use a combination of moving these to get any shape we like and to correct any mistakes we've made while drawing. Sometimes your hand will shake and you'll get a funny bit. As you can see here, it's gone completely wrong here. So if I modify this, I can grab hold of these points. Whoops, I've grabbed hold of the wrong one. And I can move them around to correct any mistakes I've made. Now, as usual, our shift key will let us add things and our control key will let us subtract. So if I want to add another point to the line anywhere, if I select, say, the line there, hold the shift key and click, it'll add a new point. So I've now got an extra point in there. If I want to delete it, hold control and click on it, and that will remove a point. Same with the seesaw levers. If I hold control down and click on that point, it's actually taken one of the levers away, so I've only got one on this side now. I can take that away as well. To get them back, if I hold shift and click on the white point, I'll get two new adjustable seesaws. So we'll come out now and show you the other method of drawing. Now this, I go back to create, The other method is to turn off the freehand create, and this will allow us to add point by point where we want to go. This can be a lot easier than trying to keep your hand steady and follow a path, and it's certainly much better if you want to create straight lines for maybe fences or boundaries and things like that later on. And basically we just click on the screen and click and let go and click and let go, and we create our shape that way. Now when we want to close it, we click on the first point that we started at, and our shape's created. Now you'll notice that it's made up of straight lines, which isn't really a problem, because when we come to sharpening edges, even if we make our fairways and greens out of straight lines, as soon as we sharpen the edges it will pull them all into curves anyway. But if you want it into curves beforehand, again, if we go to adjust shape and we turn it on, all you have to do to create the curves is add the seesaws. The reason it's in straight lines is because the seesaw adjusters are missing. So if you just hold shift and click on each point around the shape, it'll just add in the seesaws. I've obviously missed one there. It's quite hard to see what you're doing sometimes. Let's select that again. That's it. And that's it. There we go. And we get a curved shape. So if you've got a shaky hand, it's probably far better to use this method than the freehand method. Also, if your mouse is very sensitive, same thing, it's probably easier to do it this way. Those are the two ways of creating the shapes and modifying, adjusting the shapes too. We can also move a shape. If we go onto the move command, at first we need it selected, so actually I'll go to select first, and you'll see if I click on a shape, you'll see it's got slightly brighter. That means it's selected. It's sometimes quite hard to see certain colours. That doesn't really show up much, the blue. You can see a bit of a change, but if we get closer, perhaps see it better. But some colours don't really show up, so it can be quite awkward knowing when you've selected them when you haven't. That's easy to see, nice and bright and off it. You can also click and drag and box select, and anything that falls within the box will be selected. So we've selected those two together there. So you can multiple select as you can with verts and everything else. Same way, control, you can remove them. So if you hold shift and click on them, you can add them too. If I click that one and then hold shift and click that, they're both selected. And if they were all selected and I wanted to remove this one, I could hold control down, click that, and now we've just got these two selected. So it's the usual controls, shift and control, for adding and taking away as well. Now the move command that I said, any highlighted ones, which is those two at the moment, if I click on move, as soon as I hover over a line, it becomes an arrow. I can move these around to reposition them. If we select just one for now, I can also rotate it with the rotate command up there. So I move left and right and it rotates it clockwise and anti-clockwise. There's also scale, again left and right, and I can make it bigger or smaller. This is pretty useful, obviously. If you make things a bit too big and you want to change it, it's very easy to adjust things like that. There's also a copy command, so if we do for any reason need a copy of a shape, which I can't really see us needing, but if we do, we click copy, click on the shape, and you'll see a double line's now appeared because we've got a copy. And if I go to move, I can remove the highlighted one, and we've now got a copy of that specific shape. But for starters, our shapes are really just going to be used for stencils to trace round to mark out our course. So we really don't need a copy, because if we need the same shape somewhere else, we can just pick it up and move it and trace around it there. So there's no real need for copies, I don't think, at the moment. But there may come a time when you need one, and that's how to do it. These grouping ones only are important if we were inserting the shapes, which is a generally frowned upon method of creating courses now. So we're not going to be inserting shapes to mark out a course, so we really don't need these grouping commands at all. And the last command here is the usual delete anything highlighted. If I want to get rid of those three, highlight them, click delete, and they're gone. So that's creating shapes.